Hey everybody, I know it's been a while since I've done a video, and so why not just do a breakdown of pretty much all my gear. And this is set up for summertime, but with very few modifications. Just a handful of changes to this kit. This becomes my 3 season setup as well. So I'll explain the summer setup that I have, and I also thought might as well do something a little bit different. I've done a lot of these gear type videos, but one thing I thought about is that when I watch these gear breakdown videos, which I enjoy watching as well, I often wonder why doesn't this person do this, or why doesn't they have this piece of gear for another piece of gear that I happen to favor. So I'm going to go through the gear as I normally do, but if there's a situation where there's an alternative, like something that could be switched out for something else, I'll explain why I don't favor one thing versus another. Obviously, it's not going to be completely exhaustive. I'm not going to sit here for hours, but yeah. So here it is all laid out. And I laid it out anyway because I was just kind of doing the normal maintenance, like filling up things that are running low, like toothpaste and all that, and making sure I still have all my tent stakes and all that. And because I'm trying to work out a weekender trip in the future. I was able to get a few weekenders, over the summer. I've been busy lately, so a section hike hasn't happened since the late spring, but I'm looking to do a section hike later this fall. So yeah, I kind of continually plan to do weekenders and section hikes. But okay, let's jump into it. I'll start from left to right, kind of make my way around. And as usual, I'll put in the description, I'll put a lighter pack link where you can check out the deets. It's got all the weights. It also has a lot of information about the 3 season switches, and even has some other information if I were to go up into the mountains, which I do on occasion. What I would switch around. I have a duo mid, for example, that I would switch out for my tarp and bivy, and those kind of things, and also a list of my general clothing worn. So okay, we'll start over here with the backpack. That's my Atom Packs custom 35 liter backpack, frameless, and you can see poking out of there is a piece of foam pad, decathlon foam pad that I've trimmed down to size to act as a back panel, and also supplements my sleep system should I need it. And there's not much to say about that, but the Atom Packs, it's a frameless pack. Why not, pack with a frame? And it's simply because my base weight is low enough. This is about 3.2 kilograms, or around 7 pounds for summertime. And in the 3 season, spring and fall, you're looking at around 8 pounds or so. So, or 3.6 kilograms, right? So, and because I'm a section hiker, I don't generally need to take as much food and water with me. My longest, trips are about a week or so, and I can fit everything in my, food bag there, and water is abundant here in Scandinavia, or Sweden, Norway, where I live and where I hike. So that's why frameless bag is my bag of choice. The configuration is I have two sternum straps, and but if I were to take a longer section hike where I would take more weight, then I could swap out one of the sternum straps and put a because this pack is nice because you can add a hip belt to it. So I made a hip belt for it, and I can put that back on there if I so desire. But I've only done it a few times. I really don't. I'm very happy with the configuration it has now with the two sternum straps. Yeah, so that's the backpack. And why Robic? If you notice, this is Robic ripstop nylon, 210D nylon. Why not Ultra? Simply because Ultra was not a choice at the time. But this fabric is pretty strong stuff. It's pretty, I wouldn't say bomb-proof, but damn near close, right? So I would say it's second to this Ultra fabric, if what people are saying is true about this Ultra fabric, the new fabric that hit the market, like a few years ago. But I'm very happy with it, so I have no need, and there's no, it looks like, honestly, it looks like pretty new, even though I've gotten some good use out of it so far. Yeah. water bottles. So we have a couple of plastic water bottles. I replaced they come with a sports cap and I replaced it with a regular cap. That's just my preference. I do have in my uh, first aid and repair kit a sports cap that I could use if I so desire, or if I lose one of the caps. Right, and the reason why I use plastic over other choices is very lightweight. And there was a time when I was concerned about plastic consumption, but the more I read about plastic, the more I realized the grim conclusion is that we're all consuming lots of plastic. I read one report that says that we consume about a credit card's worth of plastic a month, or even in some places every couple of weeks. So I've accepted that, okay, plastic, while it might not be you know, the healthiest for your body. If you, I will replace these about once a year too. It's not like I use them until they're completely beat up. But also I recycle them too. They're cheap. They're quite durable. And this is 650 liters. And that's serves me well for my needs here. Like I said before, water is abundant, so I don't need to have like a lot of big heavy water. And if I were to need, and let's say there's a particular section that's doesn't have as much water, or if it's drier, if there's like a dry spell here, I could fill my water bladder with reserve water and carry that. And I guess I should jump into that. That's the Sawyer Squeeze 1 liter bladder, and then inside of that cup there, that's a Hydropack, little cup that I use to help fill water, and also serves as a container if I'm picking, say, berries or whatever. Then I have the Sawyer Mini filter. People have complained about its flow rate, but when I go solo, it's fine for me. I do a lot of maintenance to it. I think that's the key that a lot of people that have problems with the Sawyer Mini maybe should look to do is I when I come home I back flush it, and every now and then I will back flush it, or I'll soak it in vinegar water solution, and I will um, back flush it with the vinegar water, and then every now and then I'll do the bleach soak, and then back flush it with bleach water, and it's been serving me really well for years and years. I recently picked up a quick draw, a platypus quick draw filter, which has an amazing flow rate. That's the filter that I take when I go with other people, like if my wife and I go, or if I go with friends. That way it's much easier to fill up like everybody's water. But when I go solo, that filter works just fine for me. Ditty bag for my toiletries. That's just, you see a small towel in the mesh pocket there with some biodegradable soap, and toothbrush, toothpaste, alcohol gel, your standard kind of toiletry stuff, TP is in there. And then, since we're talking hygiene and whatnot, let's go to this bag. This is a seasonal bag. In that plastic bag there, I have bug spray, which counts as consumable, and then sunblock, which would also count as consumable. And I use the bug spray on occasion. Hot tip is to, if you wear a cap, which I do, like a trucker cap when I hike, I will spray the cap. If you don't like the feeling of having bug spray all over your skin, that works really well for me. I spray my cap, and I will spray kind of key locations like my shoulder, like my t-shirt or whatever, clothing wearing, like my shoulders. And then, of course, my pants to keep ticks out, to discourage ticks from sticking on me. Sunblock I use very rarely. It's not like it's super sunny here in Sweden, but when it is, because it does get sunny at times, I will it's mostly my face that I will use. So just a repackaged little sunblock bottle, and I only need that in the height of the summer. Most of the time I don't need to take that. Okay, so let's continue kind of, oh, and I should say too, that a lot of this stuff here on this side, that goes in the front pocket. I'll explain the stuff that doesn't, that goes in the main pocket as I go through, but all the stuff that I pointed out just now, that's front pocket stuff. In that bag there, that little Cuban stuff sack, which I've had for like a damn near decade now, and Cuban fiber does have its ups and downs, pros and cons, but for, little stuff sacks that get used, not as frequently, it's fine. In there is a head net. And that will count as worn weight and bug season, so yeah, head net is in there. Leukotape, that is just to supplement my first aid stuff. If I get a hot spot, I tend to, if I feel like I'm getting a hot spot, I'll throw some Leukotape on it. It also helps for like beefing up band-aids if there's like a small scrape or a cut, kind of putting a band-aid on it, and then on top of that put a strip of Leukotape to keep it in place. I've also I do trips with not just myself and my wife, but others, friends, and also I'm now taking my kids and their friends, family, cousins, etc. So that is the reason why I actually upgraded my first aid bag to a bigger, easier to access bag, and I added a few more extras into my first aid kit. If you look at my channel, I actually go through a more minimalist kit, which I took for years and years, and I never had any problems. But more recently, mostly because of taking others out that are inexperienced, like cousins and whatnot of my children, then I decided to get a easier to access first aid, easier to recognize. You can see it's like a very bright, easy to see it's a first aid kit. And when I open it too, it's a roll top bag. It's easy to kind of pick around and get what I need. Now, this is a good point to do, like, okay, what about this? What about that? And one thing you could switch this out for, this is actually Ultra Fabric, which I mentioned before. This is a newer purchase. This is made out of that ultra, fabric, and so it's quite durable, and it's pretty much waterproof. It's got tape seams, and it's a Hilltop pack. That's the cottage company that makes it. Why not a Ziploc bag? That's cheap, that's lighter, right? And lots of through hikers even use that. And it's just because I get sick of replacing them after so often. They get a bit worn out, and so I just get over the years. I'm in this for the long haul. I've been doing this for a while now, and so I get sick of replacing certain things. And this is easier to open as well, and it's easier to recognize too. So there's why I choose that slightly heavier first aid bag over, say, a Ziploc or something else. All right, moving along now, we have a trowel, which is that's also a newer acquisition, and I can say, to give you a quick review, this is just a hardened aluminum trowel. The name of the company escapes me, but it's in my lighter pack. I prefer this trowel to the more like popular Deuce of Spades. That one is, I used the Deuce of Spades for a few years and it was all right, but I happen to like this one more, and it is a few grams lighter, which isn't, it's not that big a deal. It's not the weight. It's just that this is just more user friendly. It's easier to dig with it, so I like that a lot. Okay, and now tent stakes in that stuff sack there. Not much to say about that. And then I have a new battery pack, actually, or phone charger. So in there is the Nitecore, the 10,000. I had a 6,700 for years, an Anchor, and it served me well, but there have been some longer section hikes that I did cut it close, and it gave me enough anxiety to want to get more juice, and so now I have 10,000. That's more than enough for my needs. I think for weekenders, I can switch that out for my 6,700 one. But for section hikes, that'll do me just fine. And of course, some cords in there and stuff. And it's in a DCF bag. That I will pack all the rest of the stuff here that goes in the front pocket, as I said, but that I will pack inside of my main pack, just as an extra, consideration for rain, even though that bag is very water resistant. It has a water resistant zipper. Just because it's electronics, to be extra careful, I will pack that inside the bag. I've never had any problems with that, and it rains quite a lot here. Okay, so in that neon orange bag there, that little stuff sack is just my socks. I don't pack those with my clothing packed because they will stink if they're dirty and I haven't had time to wash them. So that's just to isolate them away, and I'll pack that in the main compartment there. Foam pad, just a generic foam pad, and in addition to sitting on it, you can also use it in the sleep system. Why not something beefier? Well, I do actually have something beefier. In the 3 season, I'll switch it out to, this is a Thermarest one, which is like slightly over twice as warm R value as that one. And then I can put that under my torso. But in the summer, no big deal. Just generic foam, probably around 1 R value. Now we're getting into the stuff that's in the pack now in the main, compartment. So if there's an order to it too, I should talk about the order, how I pack it. At the bottom will go my quilt, which is over here. That is an Apex, 2.5 ounce Apex, my summer quilt. That goes inside this big stuff sack here, or more like a pack liner. It's like kind of like a 1/3 pack liner where I put the quilt plus any clothing. So in this case, I have just a beanie and my pillow and leggings. And so those go in that, I think it's a 12 or 15 liter. I think 15. And yeah, that goes on the bottom of my pack. And then I will wrap my sleeping pad. This is it's a now discontinued inflatable pad. It's the Gossamer Gear Airbeam. It's a full-length pad and it's quite comfy. It's got horizontal baffles, or not baffles, or what do you call them? Maybe they are, but it's horizontal air, you know, compartments rather than most which have horizontal, and it's actually quite comfy. It reminds me more of like a beach or a swimming pool type inflatable floaty thing. And if I'm going to do marked trails, this is one switch that I don't mention in my lighter pack because it's already long enough. But if I'm going off trail, I'll actually, to save even more weight, swap that out with a foam pad, just a closed foam pad. Um, and but this is nice to have if I'm gonna be on a marked trail because maybe I want to sleep in a trail shelter. Maybe there's a lean-to. There are lots of them here in Sweden and Norway, and it's nice not to sleep on the hardwood. So yeah, that's why I have that as opposed to a foam a sleeping pad. So that's why I take that much of the time, but at times I switch that out for foam. So yes, and also I guess you could nitpick and talk about saving weight with the stuff sack or the big like pack liner to put my quilt and my clothing. I could use one of those plastic neofoam pack liners and save some weight, but again I don't want to replace that. And just ease of use, I like having my gear organized. It's really not that much of a weight penalty. I mean, 7 pounds is pretty light. 8 pounds for 3 season, pretty light, right? And it's just yeah. I don't have to worry about replacing it. That's just a sil nylon, stuff sack. Okay, speaking of stuff sacks, there's my food bag. And you could get silicone nylon, or you could get you could just use a plastic bag. I've done that in the past too, just a regular plastic bag. But again, replacing, it's annoying and also more durable. This is the thicker DCF. This is like, I think the 1 point something square ounce. This is Bofus gear. Very, very happy with that. I can fit about 5 days of food. You'll notice that because it's summer, I'm okay with doing non-cook. I'm not a big fan of cold soak. I'll do it on occasion, which is why I'll bring my spoon, but a spoon has other, utility too, to eat other things. But cold soak is not my thing. What I generally do in the summertime is eat just ready-made food, like, a lot of nuts, a lot of bars, a lot of, your chips, and, you have dried fruit, that kind of stuff. And that does me great in the summertime. But yeah, there's the food bag. And the order, I kind of lost that thread, didn't I? Yeah, so quilt, sorry about that. Quilt, and then in that bag, then, so the sleeping pad kind of around the quilt, they fit like together on the bottom. And then I put the food bag, if I'm doing, especially if I'm doing a longer section hike, right? If I'm going, 4, 5, 6 days, then I'll put that on top where I'm sorry, no, other way around, sorry. I'll put that on the bottom on top of the quilt. But if it's just a weekender, then I'll put it on top. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. So, then after, so it's, quilt and clothing, food, and then shelter and rain gear, they fit together in one layer. And that, in that stuff sack there, the bigger one there, that's just my tarp, my Bora tarp, and my Bora bivy. I've been using them for quite some time now, super happy with them. I'm just a flat tarp fanatic. I love flat tarps, and bivy, it's just such a versatile combination. I can throw my bivy into a shelter and be done with it, or if in Sweden, last I checked, it's like 68% forested. It's one of the most forested countries in the world. And so below tree line, there's no shortage of nice mossy spots between two trees to pitch my tarp. I do not hike with trekking poles, but in the rare event that I can't, find a spot, if I'm too lazy or tired to, find a, perfect, two trees with a flat spot, It's rare, but it happens. Then I can just get one stick, like a stick from the woods, and I can make like a big stake, like I can drive that into the ground and then have one tree and one stake. I've only had to do that a few times. It's really not that big a deal. So that's why I use a tarp and bivy. I love the modular, you know, nature of it. It's very compressible too, and lightweight. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Um, yeah, and like I said before, if I go above tree line, I have a pyramid shelter that I can take with me, and I set up that with a hiking stick that I take with me, which is just a straight up broomstick I bought at the hardware store. Just a lightweight wooden broomstick that I use as a staff and to set up my duomid. And yeah, that served me well for many years. All right, we're reaching the end of the line. There's just a few more things to talk about. Oh, I guess I didn't mention my vest. That's my Bora Gear down vest that goes into the bag with the clothing, obviously. I've had that since 2014 and it's still going strong. Why not a jacket? Just, in the summer, there's no need. In 3 season, I do swap that out for a jacket that's all around warmer, which is the Enlightened Equipment Tour jacket. But yeah, where was I? So yeah, now we're at the top layer of the pack, which is rain gear. And even if it's extra rainy out, I will take it from the inside of my pack and put it in the front pocket. If it's, I know there's dark clouds, it rains a lot here, as I said. And that's just a generic, thicker plastic poncho I modified with some tie-outs on the corners. And I've used that for a few years now, and it's working great. If I need to replace it, no problem. I bought, because they're only 40 crowns, and that works out to like $4 US or €4. So I bought another one just in case they discontinue that poncho, and I have that on reserve. But I have had no problems with it. It's works great, and it acts as a pack cover. So why not a jacket? Why not an umbrella? The wind, I don't like when it's windy. Then the umbrella is kind of a pain in the butt. The rain jacket, I much prefer. I get all sweaty in a rain jacket. I much prefer having a poncho where you could like vent. And also, as I mentioned before, it's a pack cover. And on top, some people have said, oh, but when it gets really windy, then the poncho, acts like a sail or whatever. I don't really have that problem. I just think if you hold on the poncho properly, you can mitigate, windy. I've even taken a poncho up in the fjälls, up in the mountains, in windy, rainy conditions, and yeah, it flapped a bit, but it was not a big deal to me. I stayed relatively dry, and my gear stayed very dry, and yeah, that's that. Okay, so I think that's about it, right? I guess I could talk about why quilt over a sleeping bag, but that's been discussed to death. I find it just more comfortable, and in addition to the weight savings, in a nutshell, there you go. And but yeah, that's about it. Talked, I think, quite enough now about. I think I covered everything. And like I tried to do is talk about like other popular alternatives. Oh, you know what? It occurs to me that I forgot to put my fanny pack in the mix. So this is everything that goes in my backpack, but I do take a fanny pack. I prefer that to hip belt pockets or a shoulder pouch, just because it doesn't flop around as much and it's easy access and it weighs less than having, say, two hip belt pockets. So yeah, fanny pack. I knew I forgot something, but anyway, in there I take a small knife. I prefer having a small knife than having like the little Swiss Army knife that a lot of ultralighters take, because it's just easier to use and it's like a little bit more robust, so it can handle bigger jobs. Like if I want to, say make chopsticks, or if I want to, process a little bit of firewood on the rare occasions that I have a fire, right? Then I have a dedicated knife. Some people will argue that, oh, well, the little Swiss Army knife has tweezers and it has scissors. Well, I prefer having better versions of tweezers and scissors. In my my first aid Diddy bag slash repair kit, I have a tiny pair of scissors and I have a pair of tweezers that are inside of a pen cap, and so they don't have to, they won't poke a hole. So I think it's just for ease of use, for a very, very slight weight penalty. I prefer having the actual individual tools than, the the, say, Swiss Army knife or multi-tool or any of that. But okay, yeah, that's one thing I did forget. And in the ditty bag, or the fanny pack, you got your lip balm, you got your um, little cloth to clean my glasses or clean my phone. And why not camera gear? Because I just don't care enough. My phone, my smartphone is good enough for pictures and video. I don't care. I just don't feel like having expensive. Not only is camera gear expensive and it's heavy and it's maintenance and no. So this is good enough for me. I have no aspirations to be like a professional YouTuber or like a partner YouTuber or anything like that. So my phone is good enough, and my phone is coincidentally uh, included in my base weight. I know there are some out there that do not include their phone in their base weight, which I think is BS. You might as well just include that. But yeah. All right. That's it. Hope this was interesting, helpful, etc. I often, like I said before, wanted to hear some explanations about, why people made certain choices. If I missed something, if you have questions, if I didn't explain something, and you say, hey, why not this versus that, feel free to, ask a question. One thing I will say right away though is I have another video, and I guess I could link to that too, where I discuss the benefits of uh, DCF versus silicone polyester, silicone nylon, etc. Because my tarp is a sil poly tarp, I much prefer to DCF tarp for reasons I go into detail. So I will take that. That's a question I've gotten before in comments, so I'll knock that out right away. You don't have to ask me about that. So yeah, check out the description. I'll put some stuff in there, lighter pack and video links and all that. But okay, Jesus, I can't believe I talked now for almost 30 minutes now, but okay. I wanted to just get this out of my system. Like I said, it had been a while. And if you're wondering why has it been so long, in addition to being busy and having a life, I'm just incredibly happy with my gear. I just don't have that much to say anymore. Only a few small details have I made improvements to, like, the first aid kit and the trowel, like these little things. But otherwise, my gear has largely remained the same for years with small improvements as I've gone. So I'm very happy. All this stuff has served me really well. And as I said before, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm going to continue to backpack until I'm no longer physically able to do it. It's my, big hobby, my big passion for free time. So, okay. Thanks for watching. Take care. Happy trails. Goodbye.